Hey guys, I'm Natalie Hodge. Welcome to SnapComms, where we bring you news in a snap. Joining me on today's program is Mr. Theodore James and Mrs. Geraldine Ritter-Freeman, members of the Public Service Committee. Welcome, Mr. James, and welcome, Ms. Freeman.
Tell me about the upcoming Public Service Week. We know that it's coming up. What can you tell us about the theme of Public Service Week?
Well, this year's theme for the Public Service Week activities is Transforming Together. You would have heard a great deal about the public service transforming and the whole transformation process, and so Public Service Week will stick with that theme, and we will have our theme to be transforming together. However, we do have a two-prong approach to that Transforming Together initiative. We want to talk about unification as a public service as well as impact to the community. And so as we talk, you'll learn more about why we've decided to take that approach.
So talk to us about the unification of the public service and why is it important for us to be unified and have this, this one voice. Why is that important?
So just a bit of background. As part of the Public Service Week, we are members of the Public Service Week Committee, Mr. James and myself. And as part of the discussion, we thought that it was important that at this juncture that we refocus. We felt that it could not be business as usual coming out of two disasters and now that we're in the recovery phase of our development. And we thought it critical that we as public officers also changed our mindset and the way we think. So we've transformed the activities, and we're now looking at how we can have a greater impact on the community through community service. And one other very important aspect that we thought needed to be addressed during the Public Service Week activities and leading up to the activities is how do we unify? How do we come together and have one voice in terms of our concerns, our needs, and even our contribution, our recommendation, our collective contribution to how do we leap forward to a new BVI, a new territory, a new public service. And that's where we thought coming on these programs and bringing awareness to the public service and officers. We have a lot of new officers who may not be aware of the different mediums that were used in the past to have a unified voice. And even if there's new means of having that unified approach to come together and have a meaningful discussion about who we are and what we want to, how we want to see ourselves in the next 5-10 years, then we are open to that as well. But today we are going to emphasize one program that we're familiar with, which is the Civil Service Association, which was established some years ago, but it became dormant, I believe, in 2004. And it's been dormant for a little bit, and we are thinking it's important that associations such as the Civil Service Association be reestablished, and that can get the discussion going.
Okay.
Right. We recognize that the general orders, a section of the general orders 3.28 speaks to strikes by public officers. Public officers who violate the terms of their employment render themselves liable for instant dismissal. But the CSA is that association where that one voice, where we can come together and chart the course forward for public officers to have that voice.
So basically you're saying that the CSA functions as sort of a union for public officers, is that correct?
Some would say, some would make it akin to a union, yes. The same benefits can be derived from the association.
Correct.
So there are several benefits.
Yes, so as you mentioned benefits, tell us about some of the benefits of having the Civil Service Association reestablished.
All right, outside of one voice, we can talk about health and safety concerns. We recognize way before Irma, we had concerns with our buildings, whether it is the government building proper or it is the buildings we rent. We can speak or have voice in regards to that. We are the most essential asset the government has, and we must protect that asset. So the way how I'm looking at it, Civil Service Association is there to be a voice. Listen, we need buildings cleaned better. We might need to renegotiate terms and conditions of the leases.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one aspect where the Civil Service Association can lend their voice to.
Okay, so is there a sort of a call to action to get persons interested in the reestablishment of this CSA, the Civil Service Association?
Well, one avenue we decided to use was the Public Service Week activity. So throughout Public Service Week, you'll be hearing more about how we can become a more unified voice. And we are hoping that with that attention, and persons will become a little bit more interested. I think the pulse right now is for persons who are aware of the CSA. They're feeling a bit despondent and not a lot of confidence in Civil Service Association or these types of groups. And we're saying even where we may have failed in the past, and like I said, I'm always open to new means of doing things, but even where we may have failed in the past in terms of the efforts of the Civil Service Association, let's come together and see how we can make it better or improve upon it. Or if there's something else that we can do, let us come together and have that discussion. That's what we're saying.
Okay, so what else can you tell me about the association? What can we expect, hopefully, coming out of the reestablishment? What can public officers look forward to?
One of the other things that I'm keen on speaking about as a benefit of the Civil Service Association, members of the Civil Service Association also align themselves as representatives on different boards. So where you've had these different boards being established since the recovery, for example, you have like the RDAs, you have the different insurance and bank tribunals. All of these things, also the representative for the CSA in the past has served on the Public Service Commission. So these are different means and ways of having a meaningful impact in terms of public officers and the interest of public officers. Essentially, that's what the Civil Service Association is about. It's about representing the interest of public officers. And we want to be able to merge that, not just with senior, and I think it's good that we have Mr. James and myself here because we're talking about passing the baton. Someone like myself who has been in the public service for some time, and you have new emerging leaders like Mr. James coming on stream, and we can have a discussion. We're not always going to agree, but we can have a meaningful discussion about what does it take for us to have a meaningful impact on the discussion today, because we believe if we miss this opportunity, that it may be lost.
Just might be lost. One of those other aspects that is very important that we focus on. Now, I know while driving to work, we might say, oh, well, you know, the roads are cleaned, X, Y, and Z. But the part of the Public Service Association or the Civil Service Association is to, again, not only look at health, but the safety. I have been concerned over the years on the lack of reflective vests that I'm seeing. Sometimes there's road works going on and there's no traffic cones, whether it's 100 feet from the actual area or 200 feet that will let me know to slow down. Or these are the concerns that many of us have in the community. Now, that's something that we need to advocate more of. Safety for our public officers who are dealing with road construction. And it goes beyond public officers only. What about those utility companies who also have personnel on the street, or who might hire private contractors who's on the street as well? Where are the cones for their safety? What do we need to ensure are in the contracts to ensure that the public is safe traversing to and from work?
So the point is, if Theo is so passionate about safety as an example, his voice may be able to go so far with his passion and his concerns. But we're saying collectively, I believe the number now is about over 2,500 public officers. Imagine 2,500 public officers saying enough is enough. We need to pay attention to health and safety conditions in the workplace.
Well, guys, there you have it. That's it for today. But be sure to tune in for our next episode as we continue the discussion on the reestablishment of the Civil Service Association. I'm Natalie Hodge, signing off. Be sure to tune in for your daily feed of SnapComms, where we bring you news in a snap.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Twitter, and Facebook at BVI Government and Instagram at GISBVI.
SnapComms is brought to you by the Disaster Recovery Coordinating Committee, Government of the Virgin Islands.